As Northeastern students, we spend most of our college years studying and focusing on our own self interest and career paths. We do not seem to be aware of other schoolmates besides our own close friends, and we probably care very little for others. Our society has been permeated by a sense of passionless indifference. This apathy is dangerous and causes harm at the personal and global scales. It is extremely easy to get caught out in our comfort zones and never truly engage with the world around us. If we just took a leap and started caring about others, apathy would dissipate and we would be left with a true ripple effect. We need to get more people involved in our society and make them realize that the whole system relies on each other. A big problem I have found by just looking around our campus and making a series of surveys is that the average male student spends about 1 to 3 hours a day playing video games.
This is Charles Lee, a sophomore here at Northeastern, and he has a serious disease where he cannot stop playing League of Legends. This is an example of apathy. Unfortunately, Charles is not the only one. League of Legends has a huge community all over the world where students between the ages of 12 and 30 spend countless hours of non-stop gaming. It has been calculated that over 67 million players play League of Legends per month, 27 million per day, and 7.5 million during peak hours. There's even a website where it shows players how much time they have spent playing the game, showing the top leaderboard players have spent over 600 days playing this game. That means that they have spent practically 2 years of their lives sitting in front of a computer, playing a game that contributes absolutely nothing to our society. This is only one game example out of thousands, where people just spend hundreds of hours playing. After noticing this fact, I decided to follow around one of my friends, Kevin, to see how truly apathetic some students can be.
Yo, did you know that Northeastern is one of the worst at giving financial aid to students?
Cool, dude. They need new chairs in here.
Unfortunately, Kevin proved to be apathetic towards a serious topic that should concern him since he is qualified to receive financial aid. Instead, he cares more about his seat being uncomfortable. On average, a student with family income of $30,000 or less was forced to shell out almost $21,000 at Northeastern University. Only 4% of Northeastern's financial aid budget came from their endowments, compared with an average of 22% of other research universities. Northeastern is constantly implementing new expensive furniture in random places and hanging motorcycles from the ceiling. Instead of spending so much money on new facility buildings like International Village and the new 180,000 GSF Interdisciplinary Science and Engineering building started in 2013, it should focus on trying to get smarter students who cannot afford a good education to get financial aid. As a political science major, I assumed Kevin would be following the United States presidential race and had a good idea of who he was voting for.
Yo, Kevin, who are you voting for?
Bernie.
Oh, where are you registered?
What, dude?
Again, he proved to be disappointingly apathetic towards politics. According to the Washington Post, during the current presidential election taking place in the U.S., 47% of Americans will not vote, and 15 of those non-voters are students. The incidence of active involvement in our political life must certainly be higher. I asked a few Northeastern students why they weren't voting, and these were their top answers. To begin with, there is no correlation between jury duty and voting. You get jury duty whether you register to vote or not. Elections are not controlled by the rich. Big corporations get fewer votes than you do, and millionaires get the exact same number. They go to the polls and they vote just like everyone else because they know that's the only way people get elected. If every young person who used this excuse got up and voted one Tuesday every 2 years, they would literally be the deciding voice in thousands of elections. So maybe it's time to realize that the power lies with us. That is what democracy is. Make this country better because you can. After having taught Kevin all about political apathy, I decided I would reward him with some sweets.
Yo, 85% cocoa.
Yo, don't they harvest that using slave labor?
I guess.
Unfortunately, Kevin chose the wrong candy. Like most people, he decided to buy chocolate knowing it supported child labor. In Western Africa, cocoa is a commodity crop grown primarily for export. 60% of the Ivory Coast's export revenue comes from its cocoa. As the chocolate industry has grown over the years, so has the demand for cheap cocoa. On average, cocoa farmers earn less than $2 per day, an income below the poverty line. As a result, they often resort to the use of child labor to keep their prices competitive. The children of Western Africa are surrounded by intense poverty, and most begin working at a young age to help support their families. Some children end up on the cocoa farms because they need work and traffickers tell them that the job pays well. Other children are sold to traffickers or farm owners by their own relatives, who are unaware of the dangerous work environments and the lack of any provisions for an education. Often, traffickers abduct young children from small villages and in neighboring African countries, such as Burkina Faso and Mali, two of the poorest countries in the world. Once they have taken the cocoa farms, the children may not see their families for years, if ever. Most of the children laboring in cocoa farms are between the ages of 12 and 16, but reporters have found the children as young as 5. In addition, 40% of these children are girls, and some stay for a few months, while others end up working on the cocoa farms through adulthood. In conclusion, I'm not saying that we should go to Africa to help stop child labor, nor should we stop having leisure time, or try to become the next president. I'm saying that the next time you find yourself doing something stupid, maybe stop and ask yourself how you can make an impact in the world. What will be your mark?